You see, I wrote an article some years back. The term of the article is education begins when you ask why. Pé ìbéèrè ni ohun àkọ́kọ́ tó mú kí ẹ̀kọ́ wáyé. Ìbéèrè ló ń ṣílẹ̀kùn ẹ̀kọ́. Now, ẹ̀kọ́ tá à ń kọ́ àwọn ọmọ wa láyé òde òní, in all sincerity, kò sábà wo tenet. If you look at the tenet of the Western education system, it's not designed to solve any African problem. So, which means that the degrees, I know there are some people, there are some professors and doctors who want to disagree with me now. Well, I am shattering the table, but I believe that there is no education designed, there is no Western education system that can in any way solve our own indigenous problem. And this is my point now. If there are no indigenous education system, there used to be an indigenous education system before.
Yes.
That our fathers designed. Ní ìgbà ìwáṣẹ̀, tí a bá bí ọmọ, ọjọ́ kẹta á kìtà ọmọ, which is pé a ṣe ọ̀sọ̀ọ̀sẹ̀dáyé oníká kìtà ọmọ. Now, tá a bá ti wá ṣe ìkọ̀sẹ̀dáyé ọmọ, and that is where the competency comes into play. Tá a bá ṣe ìkọ̀sẹ̀dáyé ọmọ, from the ìkọ̀sẹ̀dáyé ọmọ, àti lè mọ possible professions.
Yes.
Tọmọ yẹn lè ṣe. Àmọ́ tó bá yẹ obìnrin ni, àmọ́ possible ọkùnrin tó lè fẹ́.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni.
Àmọ́ àwọn èèwọ̀ ẹ̀. Àmọ́ a ní insight nítorí ní ọ̀nà bí journey ìrìn àjò ọmọ náà ṣe máa rí. With all of this insight, I wà in the position to give informed decisions nínú ìrìn àjò ọmọ yẹn. Tọ́mọ yẹn bá ti wá pé state kan, á wà mú lọ kọ́ṣẹ́. Iṣẹ́ tó wà in line pẹ̀lú tí a ti ní knowledge nínú àyànmọ́ àkọsẹ̀jáyé ẹ̀. Ọmọ yẹn wá kọ́ ó lè kọ́ 12 years to become a professor in that field. By the time tó máa pé 18, 20 and above, ọmọ yẹn is already a certified professor in that field. Bó jẹ́ pé carpentry ni, pé agbẹ́gilére ni, tí ọmọ yẹn bá èrè tọ́mọ yẹn bá gbẹ́, àá mọ̀ pé professor ló gbẹ́ èrè yìí. That is the template of our own indigenous education system. It has changed. The 6334 education system changed it. How do we, as a people, see a way of reintroducing systems that can educate our young ones, and at the same time, because education is useless if it cannot solve a problem of society.
Thank you.
So how do we begin to educate our young ones to solve education using the knowledge of Ifa and Richards to solve them? Those are things that I think that we should be able to look at.
Thank you so much. You are really saying the truth, because the education that was given to us, that system was designed.
I don't like when they say given to us. We collected it.
Okay. They gave it to us and we collected it. That was introduced to us. That educational system was designed to benefit the people who introduced it to us. You understand now? Because when they started this issue of education, one of the purposes was for us just to be able to read and write. But what did they want us to be able to read? To be able to read the Holy Bible. That was why even when people like Sama Ajayi Crowder and others, when they, in their efforts to translate the Holy Bible to Yoruba, and their effort to reduce Yoruba into writing, but they didn't do it for anything. Then they did it so that people will be able to read the Holy Bible and they will be able to accept Christianity. That was why the system they introduced to us then is not the one that will encourage people to be versed in this technology and science. But it is nowadays that people later realize that these people, that their interest, the system of education given to us is not the one that can advance us. Now, coming back to our own traditional system of education, it will be possible for us to go into that when we have freedom in every ramification, because we only have a political freedom, and that is what our people agitated for, to have independence. We don't have a religious freedom. We don't have cultural freedom. Rather, it is when we have this freedom in totality that we can talk about it. You can see that in places where they have freedom, that we can say real freedom, you see, they teach their children with their mother tongue, their own language.
Well, what do I want to say now? It is we are getting there already.
Yes.
Now my question is, see, freedom comes by asking, whether I like it or not. And,
yes.
There are works that have to be done for us to even demand for anything. I was saying yesterday, when we spoke yesterday, I told you that when we were designing the Ifa Religious Studies curriculum, the idea behind this was for us to give our young ones alternative to the religious studies curriculum that they have in school. When we have it, because my child, I should be able to tell my child, there are two questions I want to ask you there. Number one, I'm a liberal person, and my parents did a lot of things to me to ensure that I was not liberal, yet I was liberal. And I will not now go back to become another version of my parents to my children. So what I can do is to be able to say, is to be a good advocate and be liberal enough to my children and advocate enough for them. Pé wo ìṣẹ̀ṣe ń pè ìṣẹ̀ṣe rè. Ìtàn pè ní ilé, ìtàn pè nílé, ìtàn pè nílé rè. That is liberality. And I can now advocate for ìṣẹ̀ṣe because I want my children to practice ìṣẹ̀ṣe. But I would eventually become another version of my parents, what I fought against. If I now tell my child that, tipa ti kúkú ní ṣọ̀gbọ́n fífẹ́ ràn rógbó, tipa ti kúkú ló fi ṣe. Now, what will I tell? What will now be my selling point to my child? If I want to tell my child, what are the selling points? That's number one. Number two, if I now want to educate my child in the way of Orunmila, how do I educate him, my child? Because the education of Ile-Ifa co-align with the education of the Western world. And it takes someone with extra confusion láti cover àti kàwé papọ̀. Because time wey cover Ile-Ifa, nǹkan ló fẹ́ lọ léèwé. Wọ́n láti léèwé, wọ́n tún fún ẹni iṣẹ́ tó máa ṣe assignment tó máa ṣe ńlé, tó máa ṣe so kò sí so option méjì ni, ìsídà kò kọ́fà kò mọ̀fà kò má mọ̀wé. Or kò kọ́wé kò mọ̀wé kò bá ra Ifá. Ó wá ẹni tó bá wá rí nínú wa tó wá kọ́fà tó mọ̀fà tó tún wá mọ̀wé kákíkáyìn. Because the template that was designed is not designed for you to even know, it's for you to know one or nothing. So, kí la máa wá ṣe ìrúngbà wo là ń gbà láti rí pé education system wá better? Kí làwọn iṣẹ́ tá a ti ṣe? What are the works that we are doing in the education sector? Because tá a bá fi alternative sílẹ̀ bàbá, kò sí ní ta fẹ́ lash on. A gbọ́dọ̀ àwọn tó à ń sọ̀rọ̀ yìí, they did something, they were doers. Wọ́n kọ̀wé, they took actions, and the actions that were visible. What are the actions that we are taking? We want to antagonize these actions. What are the things that we are doing?
Thank you. You have two questions now. The first one is about liberalism, and how do you make your children practice what you believe in without forcing them, without imposing it on them? I believe we don't need to impose anything on any child. But the first thing is for you to be a role model, a good role model to them, because the way they see you, what you practice, and once your children are proud of you and they are proud of what you practice, they will surely follow
I'm proud of my mother, but I didn't feel I left it to balance.
But you are proud of your mother, but you were not proud of what she practiced as a religion. That is what I'm saying. And that is one. Another thing is to give your children knowledge, the necessary knowledge they need, so that they will be able to withstand their friends from other faiths whenever they are discussing their faith. You know, when you don't give them that knowledge of Ifa, it will be difficult for them to defend what you want them to practice. That is one. And because I can remember that people like me, I'm into Iseshe today because my father gave me the necessary knowledge, and he gave me that opportunity to learn Ifa, because I can still remember that there were some friends of my father whose children are not into Iseshe today, and I can say why. I remember that my father was somebody who was somehow liberal, and he gave us free hand to do whatever we want to do. For instance, now, whenever we were celebrating Egungun, we would want to follow our father to the shrine. Not because we were interested in what he wanted to do in the shrine, but we were interested in eating akara, moi, and the meat. And at times, when they gave us meat to eat, as they are doing appeasement, they put a lot of moi and the good ones like the edo, iwe adie, everything in the shrine. But me and my brothers brothers, we will be happy. We will even be telling our father that the moi that you put in the shrine is not enough. Leave more moi. And whenever they went out from the shrine, we will go back to the shrine.
We eat it.
Then we will eat everything and we will be happy. But there was a day that a friend of my father, he just opened the door of the shrine and he saw us eating the food that they put there. And he called my father, Oyewusi, irú rádaràda wo ló fi gbá àwọn ọmọ rẹ yìí? Gbogbo nǹkan tá a gbé sídìí eégún ni wọ́n ti jẹ. And my father said, ṣe báwọn náà lọ méégún. Jẹ́ kán jẹ́ àti lò é ta fẹ́ lò ń bẹ̀. But what I realized today is that my father's
liberality.
That my father's friend, that friend, kò sí ọmọ ẹ̀ kankan tó mọ nǹkan kan nípa ìṣẹ̀ṣe lẹ́nìí. Because maybe it was too, as you know, people like that will be saying, if you go near Egungun, if you eat that, you will die. If you do this, you see, you have to make sure that you let your children see what you are doing as good things. Not that they will be thinking it is satanic, the way they present it to them outside. That is one. The other question that you raised now has to do with learning Ifa, combining it with this Western education. See, we cannot compare today's system with what we have yesterday, because we will take people who are making efforts to make sure that Ifa verses are written down. Because in the nearest future, our children will have access to all the books. They will have access to all those things. Because today, I can't expect my children to learn Ifa the way I learned Ifa, because I will have to go to a Babalawo, maybe 10 miles to our house. We will trek there. And when we got there, we say, Baba, mo fẹ́ kọ́ Èjì Ògbè. Baba will not say, Èjì Ògbè, ó yá learn. Baba will just say, sit down. Then you will remember one Agumu that he was, he has started since yesterday. And to say, ó yá lọ gbé Agumu yẹn lọ gún. When it is noon, they will give you lunch. And around 4 p.m. or 5 p.m., Baba will now say, ṣé ẹ fẹ́ parí Agumu yẹn? Ó yá ẹ máa bọ̀ ẹ wá kọ́ fátẹ́ ẹ fẹ́ kọ́, ẹ máa lọ lé yín. I don't think my children can do that, because when they go somewhere I want to learn, and you give them Agumu to go today, and tomorrow they will just tell you, Baba mi ò lè lọ síbẹ̀ yẹn lọ kọ́ fámọ́ o. Wàhálà ibẹ̀ ti pọ̀, because at times a máa gún nǹkan ọwọ́ wa kò ní ṣe é náà mọ́. Ọwọ́ máa rí báyìí, wàá ṣẹ̀ máa fọwọ́ ṣe báyìí ni. Ó lè dọjọ́ kejì kọ́wọ́ yẹn tó náà. Wàá gún èpo ọ̀bọ̀, wàá máa sín. Ìyà yẹn àwọn ọmọ ò lè jẹ́ láti kọ́fá. That is why tó jẹ́ pé a gbọ́dọ̀ jẹ́ kí Ifá wà ní kíkọ sílẹ̀. A dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ bàbá wa àti gbogbo àwọn onímọ̀ tán ti ṣiṣẹ́ lórí Ifá tán ti kọ́, ṣùgbọ́n ó tún kù ká ṣe gbogbo ẹ̀ tó bá wá yá àwọn generation kan bọ̀ lọ́jọ́ iwájú, that they will compile all these books together. Then a lè ní gbogbo ẹ̀ ní single book, ó wá lè tóbi àmọ́ bó ṣe máa tó. Ìyẹn wọn tá wá sọ pé báwo la ṣe fẹ́ kí àwọn ọmọ wa education tán máa ní kó wà in line with our cultural practices, kí wọ́n lè rí ìwúlò Ifá fún technology and everything. Àwọn bàbá wa tó ti ń ṣiṣẹ́ lórí Ifá and mathematics, Ifá and computer, wọ́n ti ṣe iṣẹ́ tó pọ̀. What we believe now is that in the nearest future, pé ìwé, there will be books in Yoruba to teach science and technology, as people have been agitating for it. And time is coming when the government they will accept it. Everything will be, you see, and the curriculum that people are doing for IFA studies, like the one you mentioned you have been doing, is a very great job, because it's like you have foresight. Because what you are writing down as curriculum now, if we give it to the government to consider it, if they don't, another government is coming that we accept it. Because if we don't have it and somebody just call you and say, oh, from the Ministry of Education in Oyo State, we want to introduce IFA religious studies in primary schools and secondary schools, we need the curriculum. Is it that time they call you that you will be running scatter to prepare a curriculum? But once you have it, that means we are progressing. We are really progressing, because at times when I look at what is happening today about IFA, I'm always happy comparing to what happened during our days when we were in secondary school or when we were in the university.